Guzman looks like cut her mother's throat.
Isabella Guzman, the TikTok famous teenage killer who brutally killed her own mother.
A Colorado woman who stabbed her mother 79 times inside their home in Aurora, killing her.
Her mother had an affair while married to Isabella's father. It destroyed her marriage. Isabella hated her for it.
Police say this is the face of a killer, and that 18-year-old Isabella Guzman's alleged victim is her own mother.
TikTok has a way of bringing things into the public eye. One example of this is the case of Isabella Guzman. Someone on TikTok created a video that showed Isabella as she walked into a courtroom. Her behaviour in the courtroom was very strange, which is perhaps the reason why the video of her began to go viral. Shockingly, lots of people believed Isabella was too cute and too innocent to be a murderer. It is kind of awful to have seen so many people making light of a truly terrible crime on social media. When Isabella was 18 in 2013, she lived with her mother and stepfather. After moving in with her mum, Isabella attended Overland High School before she eventually dropped out. She spent most of her time with her friends and boyfriend, and she became a very troublesome girl to her mother. She highly disrespected and disregarded her mum, which caused a lot of tension in the home. But she didn't have any problems with her biological father. Isabella struggled with mental health issues, with no one seeming to care enough to address her problems properly. In the late summer of 2013, Isabella's relationship with her mother deteriorated even more. Her mother even wanted to kick her out of the house. The tension between Isabella and her mum got to a peak when her mother found out that her daughter had been sneaking her boyfriend in whilst she was away. Isabella often let her boyfriend leave through the window as her mother pulled in the driveway. These incidents always happen in the eyes of the neighbours until they finally informed her mother. During the confrontation, Isabella became more threatening and disrespectful to her mother. She yelled at her and even spat in her face. Her mum was so afraid after the argument, even feeling the need to ask her husband to stay close to her throughout the night. The next day, Isabella sent a 3-word threatening email to her mum, saying, "You will pay."
Hoy's brutal murder, Guzman allegedly yelled at her and spit in her face, and reportedly, via email, sent a clear message, "You will pay."
Terrified, Isabella's mother called the police on her. The police later assured Isabella's mother that they had warned Isabella, saying it was now safe for her. How wrong they were.
47-year-old Yoonmi Hoy's body, the center of what investigators call a bloody crime scene in this Aurora, Colorado home.
Isabella's mum wasn't convinced, so she reached out to her biological father, asking him to talk to her. Isabella seemed calm and understanding after the talk with her father. No one expected what was to come next.
Spoke with his daughter earlier that day. The topic of conversation, her troubled relationship with her mother.
I still can't believe it. I thought that I made progress, but obviously it didn't do nothing because hours later then this thing happened.
Her mum returned home from work that night and headed upstairs to take a shower. A couple of minutes later, Isabella's stepfather heard his wife calling out to him for help. Warning, this next part of the story is really disturbing and may be hard to listen to. When her stepfather rushed upstairs and tried to open the door, he briefly caught a glimpse of Isabella inside before she slammed the door shut and locked it. Confused and worried, her stepfather frantically looked around for a way to open the door when he saw a pool of blood flowing out from underneath the bathroom door. He quickly called 911 and informed them that he believed his wife was under attack. He heard his wife say, "Jehovah," and the door opened. He saw Isabella standing at the doorway holding a knife. She said nothing as she exited the bathroom and passed by him as he stood frozen in shock.
In a police affidavit, investigators say the girl's stepfather, Ryan Hoy, heard his wife cry out from the bathroom. He then opened the door and allegedly found his stepdaughter standing with a knife over her mother's bloody body.
as he entered the bathroom, Isabella's stepfather saw his wife's naked body on the floor with a baseball bat beneath her. Not only had her throat been cut, but she'd been repeatedly stabbed. According to the coroner's count, she suffered 31 stab wounds to the face and an additional 48 to her neck. A manhunt for Isabella began immediately. Luckily, it didn't take long for her to be caught by undercover police officers.
She's on foot somewhere in the area.
After an all-night search, undercover police discovered Guzman in a nearby parking lot.
During the trial, Isabella attempted to plead innocent using an insanity defense. As the case unfolded in the summer of 2014, doctors told the court Isabella was schizophrenic and had suffered highly disturbing delusions for years. They told the court she did not believe her mother was in fact her mother, stating that she believed she was killing a woman named Cecilia in order to save the world. Prosecutors took that evidence very seriously. We punish people who make decisions to do wrong when they knew better and they could have done something differently. And in this particular case, I am convinced, based on the evidence that I've seen and the information that's been presented in court, that this woman did not know right from wrong, and she could not have acted differently than she did, given the significant schizophrenia and paranoid delusions, audible visual hallucinations that she was going through. I was convinced of it, and I felt like, in the interest of justice, I had to take these steps, said the 18th Judicial District Attorney. The sentencing was that Isabella would stay at the state hospital until she was no longer a threat to herself or the community, which could be days or for the rest of her life. In 2020, many TikTok users began posting videos from Isabella's 2013 arraignment. Some were set to the hit Ava Max song Sweet But Psycho. Others showed creators attempting to imitate her odd facial expressions from the courtroom. Disturbingly, Isabella quickly gained a fan base online, commenters noting how beautiful she was and saying that she must have had a good reason for killing her mum, which is truly terrible. One video compilation of her court hearing gained nearly 2 million views. People even began making fan pages in her honour on Facebook and Instagram. It's really sad to see that so many seem to have completely disregarded the devastating loss of a woman's life that occurred in this case. Meanwhile, Isabella was still in the mental health institution, undergoing therapy and trying to find the proper medications for her schizophrenia. In November 2020, she petitioned the court for her release, claiming she was no longer a threat to those around her.
I was not myself when I did that, and I have since been restored to full health.
She told News at the time, "I'm not mentally ill anymore. I'm not a danger to myself or others." Isabella also alleged that she had suffered years of abuse at the hands of her mother.
I was abused at home by my family for many years. My parents are Jehovah's Witnesses, and I left the religion when I was 14, and the abuse at home worsened after I quit.
In June 2021, she was granted permission to leave the hospital for therapy sessions, and despite her allegedly abusive relationship with her mother, she said,
"Change it, or if I could take it back, I would."
What are your thoughts on this case? Do you believe that Isabella was not in control on the day that she committed the crime? Do you think that she did kill her mother due to her delusions, abuse, or because she hated her because of the affair that split the family? I don't know all the evidence that was presented in court, but the fact that she had sent a threatening email prior to committing the crime, to me, sounds like it was premeditated. It's hard to say without having all of the evidence in front of us to judge, but I do question whether or not she was in control at the time of the killing. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more just like it, then please do like, comment and subscribe. It really does mean the world to me. Until next time, take care, friends.